Welcome to the Retail Leasing Playbook podcast, where I take each week, episode by episode, chapter by chapter of my book, The Retail Leasing Playbook. I wrote this book for leasing agents to help you lease space faster and more creatively. Today, we'll talk about chapter 24, Embrace the Face book, that is. Not using Facebook to prospect is just not an option. That's the first sentence in chapter 24. I started using Facebook about 5 years ago when my intern, Mackenzie, came into the office one day and said, I think we should start using Facebook to prospect for tenants. At that point, I was on 0 social media platforms, 0. I thought Facebook was the biggest waste of time ever. And then I said to her, I don't think that's a smart idea. In fact, I think I probably said, I think that's the stupidest idea ever. And then I heard myself as the teacher say that and said, oh, honey, you go ahead and you just try that. And then very surprisingly, she signed a lease 8 days later. And guess what? I got on Facebook. So the teachers, we can always learn lessons from our students. So even though I was 53 years old at the time, I can learn new tricks. So today at 59, almost 60, I believe 100% in Facebook prospecting. In fact, it has the biggest ROI of anything I've ever seen in my 35 years of being in the commercial real estate business. So if you're not currently using Facebook and you are a retail leasing agent, I highly, highly recommend that you do so. Why does Facebook work? Well, a few reasons. First of all, the main reason it works is that you bypass the gatekeeper 95% of the time. Most business owners don't allow their gatekeepers to monitor their Facebook pages. So when you send a direct message or a DM through Facebook to the business, almost always you get through to the owner of the business. And the owner of the business is usually very interested in real estate. You can send 10 to 12 Facebook messages in one sitting. So Facebook caps you out at about 10 to 12. You can usually do that 4 times a day. So if you were very aggressive with your Facebook strategy, you could probably send out 40 to 50 Facebook DMs a day. Of the 10 to 12 you send at each sitting, our statistics are that we get 4 responses. 3 say no thank you, and 1 says, I'm interested, where are your properties? So if you sit down and do this 4 times a day, you can have 4 responses, positive responses each day. I've never seen that kind of response in canvassing or cold calling over 35 years. So that's why I love it. The other reason it works is that there's this guy, Mark Zuckerberg. You might have heard of him. When a DM is sent to a business owner, Mark sends his own DM to that business owner and he says, hey, you got a message, you should respond. In other words, if you respond and you have a high response rate of responding to your customers, we will increase your algorithms. We'll put you in front of more people. So thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for encouraging the business owners to respond. Now, sometimes what that does is that encourages the business owners to create an automatic response so that the algorithm sees that they respond, even though it's not really a true response, like a virtual, a real response. It's a computer generated, but that's okay. You can figure out which those are like immediately upon getting it. You'll know if it's an automatic response or if it's the real deal. And the last reason it works so much is it's because of the supply and demand. People get 300 emails a day, usually business owners, and not very many DMs on their Facebook account. So when they open their Facebook account, usually at 2 a.m, it's very funny, that's when we usually get a lot of our responses, and they see the little 1 in the blue circle in the upper right-hand corner, they go, oh, I got a message, versus when they open up their laptops and they see that they have 300 emails and they get overwhelmed. So those are really the 3 reasons why Facebook works. You bypass the gatekeeper and get directly to the owner. Mark Zuckerberg encourages them to respond, and it's a supply and demand thing. I love Facebook, and in the book on pages 103 to 107, I actually go through page by page, text message by text message of how I got a deal done in 5 days with a bike store through Facebook prospecting. So if you want to check that out, grab the book and do so. Again, I can tell you that in 35 years of doing prospecting, I've never had the results I have with Facebook prospecting. If you want more information on how to Facebook prospect, I have free videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Beth Azor, on how to do it, and also on Azor Academy. If you look up Azor Academy, you'll see that during the COVID crisis, I did a whole webinar on how to Facebook prospect and walked you through how to do it on the screen shares. So have a great day. If you like this podcast, I encourage you to like and share and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Thanks, Rockstars. Have a great day.